This show is brought to you by Comark, the global loyalty partner trusted by enterprise brands in over 50 countries. With more than 30 years of experience and 290 million loyalty members on board, Comark knows what it takes to build real connections that last. Their AI-powered tools turn data into action and customers into superfans. From fraud-proof platforms to personalised journeys, Comark helps you boost engagement, grow revenue, and make loyalty your competitive edge. Want to see how they do it? Head over to comark.com and discover loyalty that actually works.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Loyalty. As Paula mentioned, I'm Charlie Hills, the Chief Strategy Officer for Mando Connect. In this episode, I'm delighted to interview Chris Frost, the Senior Product Manager for Customer Experience and Loyalty for Travelex. Chris specialises in customer experience, personalisation and loyalty at Travelex, where he leads the development of martech and CRM platforms to unlock customer data and drive long-term value. With a career spanning customer engagement, personalization, and product innovation, he helps global brands turn data into impactful loyalty building experiences. Today, we're going to be learning about his favorite books, highlights and key learnings from the recently launched Travelex Plus loyalty program, and all about his views on loyalty marketing. I really hope you enjoy our conversation today. So, hello, Chris. Welcome to the podcast. We're absolutely delighted to have you on today. It's a really exciting program, and I can't wait to learn all about it.
Hi there, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on, Charlie.
Oh, it's going to be a really, really good episode. But before we get into learning all about Travelex Plus, we wanted to start out with some questions where we get to know you and we get to know a little bit more of your background. So we introduced a new question in 2025. So I'm going to open with that one, which is, please tell us about your favorite book about life, loyalty, or leadership.
So despite the bookcase behind me, I'm not as avid a reader as I used to be. So I was having a little think about this. And whilst a lot of product managers talk about a book called Inspired, by Marty Kagan as their kind of product manager's Bible, I'm also partial to Ian Rankin, Inspector Rebus crime thriller. That's,
aren't we all?
I've been sticking with that for a couple of decades now. The book I wanted to mention was one called Radical Focus. So I've got it right here. So I read this a little while ago, and it's by an author called Christina Wodka, and I found it really powerful. So it's quite short, which is helpful to get through that quickly, and it's written as a business fable. So the first half of it is a story about a fictional startup that are struggling to hit their goals, and it shows how they introduce OKRs, objective key results, as a way to and a method of using those to really focus on what they do. And the second half of the book is all practical guidance on how to do it after you've read the story and you've all bought in. And it really resonated with me. I used it and some of the methods with it at the team I worked with at the time. And it really, really helped us to do things that were impactful, generate lots of success, measurable success, because it's all about the metrics as well. And also help prioritize, stop doing those things that aren't contributing to your OKRs. That's a great book, and I now follow Christina's work quite closely and get her emails and things like that.
Fantastic. I'm going to borrow that off you. For our listeners, you won't know today, but Chris actually lives around the corner from me. So I'm going to sneak round, hit the coffee shop, and then I'm going to borrow that book, because I think prioritization in particular is something that we all really struggle with in loyalty. I think one of the common themes when we're talking with all our guests is about the breadth of everything we have to do and all the different bits of the business that it touches. So yeah, prioritization would be personally very helpful. And it's also a great excuse to hit a coffee as well at the same time. That brings us on quite nicely to kind of loyalty and loyalty programs. And I know actually you bring a unique perspective to this, actually coming at it from a product management point of view, which I'm really keen to sort of share with our listeners. But what are your favorite loyalty program or programs? Which ones do you like and why?
So I think a simple thing for me is that I love a program where I get rewarded regularly in quite tangible ways. So my regular free pasta pot from Coco de Mama is a good one. So nice. It's just, I buy stuff, I get free pasta. What could make you happier, right? But the one I admire the most and I use the most personally is the Vitality program. So we have Vitality as a benefit at work, the medical insurance, for those who aren't aware of it. And with Vitality, there's lots of ways. The more active you are, the more you do things that are good for you, and that could be wellness stuff like Headspace and mindfulness, or it could be physical exercise, or it could be walking. And there's lots of ways to measure that, your Apple Watch or whatever. You get rewarded with stuff like treats, such as this morning's coffee at Nero's, or if you are really active, you could get an Apple Watch where they pay most of the cost of that for you. I just think it's brilliant. I've used it on and off when I've worked at companies that had Vitality. So I did get an Apple Watch years ago.
Yep.
I've had a lot of coffee. I get a discount on my Waitrose. I'm sounding very middle class now, I know. But it's just great. And for me, I would love to see the business case that got through on that, because it must have been really hard to say we're going to give away lots of stuff with lots of partners, with I assume the fact that more active people are, the less ill they're going to get. But that must have been very, very hard to prove up front. So that's one thing that I've got a question on my mind. But I think it's great, and I engage with it regularly. And it's one of the things that drives me to walk from the station to the office on my commute rather than jump on a tube to get my steps up. And because that at least once a week a coffee or a discount at least, it was great.
Yeah, it's such an effective program, and it's wonderful how that kind of model is applied globally as well. And it's one of the things I particularly love, because I love that brand appropriate reward for brand appropriate behavior, and it really is an effective motivator. And I think it becomes something that people can't really live without as well. As you're talking about there, it becomes part of your daily life. And I think that's what so many loyalty programs aspire to. They want to actually have kind of meaning outside of the transaction. And I do think that's a brilliant program. One of my old strategists absolutely loved it, and her favorite was the Champneys partnership, where you could kind of get heavily discounted spa weekends. So she'd do all sorts of exercise and all sorts of activity just to get these amazing kind of spa weekends. And I always thought that was rather wonderful. Sadly, I'm with Bupa, and their program is not quite so exciting. So if anyone from Bupa is listening, we'd love to work with you and improve your program. And then tell us a little bit about your background as well, because I think one of the things I found really interesting in our sort of pre-interviews was about, your perspective as a product manager coming into loyalty. And we talked a lot that loyalty is such a cool profession, because we get people coming at it from finance, people coming at it from insights, people coming at it from CRM. So many different types of people end up kind of managing and running loyalty programs. But I think you're my first product manager. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your background, and then what you enjoy about your current role at Travelex.
Yeah, so I describe myself as a career product manager. It's counted in the decades now, rather worryingly. And I've worked in a wide array of sectors. So I've worked in telcos, price comparison sites, mobile agencies building apps for clients, marketplaces, ad tech. I've got quite a wide background, but more recently I've specialized in personalization, customer data, customer engagement. So why I've stuck with this stuff is I really enjoy the art and the science of taking that customer data and things you learn about customers, whether it's hard facts or behavioral stuff, and using that to really build much more engaging customer journeys, those that deliver better experiences for customers, delight customers in different ways, and also use that, of course, to drive business outcomes. Having the two is great, but I find that really rewarding, and it's been a theme of my last few jobs. And and I guess from that, whilst I've been at Travelex, and for those of you who aren't aware, Travelex is a company that's been around quite a while now, 50 years. We simplify our customers' access to international travel money. That could be cash in your pocket, a prepaid travel money debit card, and you can order that online, pick it up at the airport. We're available in 20 countries around the world. So we've got a big company that's been doing this for a while. And I came in to do personalization. And then a year ago, I became involved in the launch of Travelex Plus, our loyalty program, which went live in March this year in the UK. And I'm a relative newbie to loyalty. I come in with a product manager's head rather than maybe someone from a more marketing background or commercial background, although clearly I work closely with both of those realms throughout my career. It was a bit of a hard start of going, okay, well, this is a new thing to learn. I love learning new things. One thing that was absolutely invaluable to me was I was invited onto a fantastic loyalty seminar run by Phil Shelper last year, which is how we initially met, of course.
Yes, absolutely. I have the privilege of teaching for Phil, for those of you that don't know, the British loyalty landscape and the kind of partnerships and rewards piece.
Yeah, the whole course, and especially Charlie, were excellent, and myself and my colleague Harriet came away loyalty experts in a day. And it was very intense. We learned a huge amount. We walked over with a very big book about loyalty, which was fantastic too. And we also got to mix with other people who are either more experienced in running loyalty programs and trying to get a refresh and reassess what they're doing, or people considering it mid-launch like us who are thinking, okay, well, we really need to learn some of the basics. So yeah, it was really interesting. As a product manager, it's quite relatable because you're trying to balance that. How do we deliver value for customers and deliver value for the business? You kind of trying to find that right balance and do it in a cost-effective way, do it in a meaningful way. And as something I talk about a lot as a product manager, I'm what I would describe as a lean product manager. I always want to be doing the minimum we need to do to get the results we need. So that can be exceedingly delighting the customer in a way it's great for them, but not building 10 features that they don't want. Trying to achieve our outcomes without overdoing it or doing things that are less valuable. And with loyalty, I see there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of exciting things you can do, whether it's point schemes and tiers and all those exciting things. But they get quite complex to do from a technical point of view, which is where maybe I come from more. So as a lean product manager, I'm thinking, okay, well, how do we get where we need to go without necessarily committing to lots more investment, lots more time before we get live? How do we learn as we go as well? So how soon can we launch in order to learn to then build the things that customers really want and test them in light ways too?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the nice things about loyalty programs as well. It's quite common to launch a sort of MVP and then build and extend it over time. And again, a common theme with our guests has been one of the biggest challenges you can face is when you actually need to remove a benefit or a feature from a loyalty program. So it's lovely to talk to somebody who's at the beginning of that journey. That brings us on quite nicely to talk about Travelex Plus, actually. Can you give our listeners an overview of what the program is, how it works? You've obviously mentioned that it's just in the UK for now. So if any of our international listeners are going to hop down to their nearest Travelex and check it out, you won't be able to see it, but our UK audience will.
Absolutely. So it's our exclusive new customer loyalty program. It offers the best exchange rates and deals to our customers. So we travel money. The core thing customers are often looking for is a mixture of convenience, the best possible rate, and combinations of those. It's free to opt in, so it's not a subscription or anything. And we reward members with discounts. And the key thing here is in exchange for receiving our comms and updates. So behind the scenes, there's a strategy of getting to know our customers, building digital relationships, and offering value on that. So the key benefits are members-only rates on all in-bureau purchases. So whenever you're in one of our stores in the UK, you will get a better rate if you're a Travelex Plus member. An additional first trip discount during the first 30 days of your membership. Now, this is a really important one for us in that we know that successful onboarding and driving engagement, particularly with cardholders, we want to set you up success by kind of priming some of those activities that we want you to do. So a lot of people get the card, load it up, spend on the holiday, never open the app, chuck the card in the drawer. That's what we want to get them more engaged with the app. We want them reloading in their first trip to build that fuller experience, to drive more usage of the card. And the first trip discount is a good way to key them when they buy. They go, oh, actually, I must use some, we'll come into this maybe a bit later, but these are some good results of driving up reload behavior there. Also, there's members-only online rate sales. So throughout the year, we will run exchange rate sales, so better value on an exchange rate. We will do this throughout the year, but it's a good way of driving up a bit of activity outside of season. So we're quite seasonal, as you might imagine. There's big peaks at Easter, big peaks in summer. And having an additional benefit just for members is working well. It's resonating well with the members so far. And one that's kind of a bit more fun is we've got fun in the Travelex world. When a currency hits its best rate in 30 days, Travelex Plus members will be notified that we're going to freeze the price of that currency until 7 a.m. the next day. So if euros were the rate for people in the UK, if the Euros rate was really, really good and the highest it's been for a while, we will ping you and say, hey, this is a great rate. Maybe now's the time to buy, because there's a lot of fear of people exchanging currency too early because they think they're going to miss out. But equally, if you wait till the last minute, then maybe the markets aren't as good as they were a little while ago. And if you remember Plus, then of course you're happy for us to chat with you and converse. We're trying to build that relationship so we deliver more opportunities for you to get good cash. And yeah, it's a big part of Plus is that kind of right to communicate but find things that are relevant to you as well. It's about your behaviors.
Well, that's really nice that you've kind of locked into those insights about how people buy currency, but also those kind of pain points and worries that they have, and then built that into the program. That's a really nice approach. And as you say, quite a unique sector, quite hard to bring kind of fun and scarcity and gamification into a kind of effectively a currency program where you've got quite specific needs. What stands out for you in the new program? What do you think sets it apart from the rest, or what should other programs look to go, actually, that's a really cool feature, I should be exploring that for my program?
I think for us, it's about our direct competitive space. So it's a genuine innovation that none of our direct competitors have. The other pure play currency converters. So we are able to offer much more value to our customers over longer term because we have a longer term relationship. So now, if you're a Plus member, when you walk away from the bureau, you will then have access to these offers and more things to come in the future. So you're going to get better rates with us for the long term. And that's something that simply our direct competitors don't do. So it's quite sector specific, but it really is us leading the way. And we've often been a company that is ahead of the pack in that sense. So really important for us. And it's, again, unique to our company. Maybe it's delivering on our core strategy, as I mentioned before, of driving a much larger proportion of our customer base from anonymous to known. There's a lot of focus on the business, and this is a key part of that. We're offering that strong value exchange up front in order to say, hey, can we have that relationship with you? Maybe more unique to our circumstance. And then I think, what should other programs learn from this? Well, I was thinking about that. There's maybe from the launch of it was that as I mentioned before about being lean, you need to, in my opinion at least, you need to try and drive value early and build from there and not get distracted with all the bells and whistles or the things you could do. So we got live as quickly as we could to start learning, and we made the choice to park some of the ideas and features we had in order to be live and learn and build, rather than sit there and wait. So in what we would call waterfall delivery in the product management world, that's something you try to avoid, because the longer you wait, the more you find actually the market's moved. So your launch proposition you've been building may not be relevant by the time you get it live. You're not earning any value until it's live, and you may have some misunderstandings with your customers. There's always going to be some features that resonate better than others. So I would just encourage anyone who's not launched a program yet to get close to their customer and be super lean and ruthless about the features you launch with. Don't overcommit. As you mentioned earlier, if you have to take stuff away from a customer, even if they weren't using it, I'm sure they're going to get quite upset about it and complain quite vocally, and there's bad PR, bad presence.
There's some great case studies in loyalty, which we won't go into today. But for those of you who are part of it, who are listening, I know you know what I'm talking about.
If you start lean, then you're in a better position to innovate from a space of knowing your customers, rather than think they're going to want all the bells and whistles and find, well, for us, our customers are transacting with us once or twice a year typically. We want to just bridge that gap at the very least, have a great first experience, and give them something to come back in a year's time. And we need to know who they are and have permission to market to them to do that, and capture some data about how they're using our products. So
that's a really nice way of thinking about it. And I think, again, lots of us have launched programs, and it's such a challenge. And I love that point about getting distracted with the bells and whistles. I think when you come at it from a creative point of view or a comms point of view, it's quite easy to then suddenly get wrapped up in a huge amount of complexity. So the sort of start small and build it over time is a really nice thought. I'm sure, however, even starting lean, there were some highs and lows. I can only imagine how challenging it is to launch a loyalty program in the financial services sector that you operate in, let alone thinking about, all the markets that you operate in. What have been some of the highs and lows of that journey that you're able to share? I'm sure there are some that are strictly for the pub.
Definitely some for pub chat. Highs, I'll focus there first. So launching on time, like we set a deadline which was just ahead of Easter. So important season for us, but it was still quite an ambitious deadline, and we achieved it. And that was a big win, and everyone's really happy around the business, because it's hard, and it's hard in any company. It's hard when you're doing new stuff. And we didn't have we're on a bit of a digital transformation and data transformation journey at the moment. So we didn't have everything lined up and ready to go and just switching something on. We were trying to do new stuff in quite hard ways. And we did it as a team, across all the departments. Everyone got on board. And that's great. And I love that as a product manager, when that happens, that you hit your targets and everyone's pulled together. That's great.
Great.
Of course, seeing the impact we've had. So we've now got 85,000 members. I've been told I can say that. And we're growing fast. So we're really happy with that. That's what we were aiming for. Our average transaction value is 31% higher with Travelex Plus, which is fantastic. So it's delivering high value in that first transaction. And then we've doubled the reload rate for new card holders who sign up with Plus. So that 30-day activation and the onboarding, which is wraps around the customer a lot more and more reasons to come back. That's fantastic. That's better than expected. Our card sales penetration is higher with Plus as well, which is a huge thing for us, because that's a key part of driving our long-term relationships. And the opt-in rates, well, compared to a year prior to launching Plus and piloting it, our opt-in rates now are 20x higher in retail. We're really struggling with opt-in, and that's a lot of what kicked off this sort of what could we do to give ourselves a good value exchange for our customers. Why should they sign up for marketing opt-ins was kind of where a lot of it started, and then it evolved into, well, if we really say, if you are willing to commit to us, here's what we will give you.
That's incredible, I think. And we're really seeing that as a trend across the industry, actually, that getting to know your audience has always been a primary driver for loyalty programs. But actually that opt-in and that permission is now, I'm seeing in a lot of our client work, is actually kind of one of the primary drivers of the business case versus other channels. And loyalty programs are so much more effective because, as you say, there's the incentive to do it, isn't there? So that's great to see those kind of uplifts. Wow.
Yeah, and I think, as someone who's worked in and around marketing opt-ins for a while, I feel much better off offering something in return rather than just, can we send you emails? It's, we want to actually give you value, and we can. We are doing, and it's a win-win. We're driving up the value of a customer whilst giving them more back as well. It's great.
Yeah, it's nice as well that you can talk about that value for the long term as well, because I think we're all quite used to seeing acquisition sort of deals, give us your data and get this one-off thing. But I suppose what's so lovely you're talking about there is it's continuous value for your members. So next time they travel and they need currency, there's actually still that added value equation in. So you really are building loyalty for the long term. Not to lower the tone, but what about some of the lows or perhaps some of the challenges that you faced?
I was hoping you'd forget that part.
Sorry.
As I mentioned before, we're a business that's going through digital and data transformations. We're a nearly 50-year-old company. We've got some legacy systems. Everyone's got legacy systems, and it's we're in a regulated sector too. So it's a bit more challenging to get things signed off.
Yep.
But probably the key things for us were we don't have customer accounts yet. So for various reasons, that's never quite happened. So we had to be really kind of, I guess, smart and resourceful and pragmatic about, okay, do we wait until we have customer accounts live, or can we launch a loyalty program without it? And we went for the latter, and we were confident that we could do a good job of this. And by using Iterable, our marketing orchestration, customer engagement platform, in clever ways, and being resourceful in other ways, and leveraging our newish single customer view, we were able to deliver the benefits of Plus without needing a full customer sign-up experience. Without customer accounts, there are certain things we can't easily do.
Yeah.
But that was a bit of a kind of bump of how should we go ahead without it? Can we? But thankfully we found a really good path through. So yeah, we ended up unlocking quite a bit of value from what's a light solution, but we know we want to invest more to go a bit further in the future. But that case has to validate itself as we go.
Yeah.
We also had some bumps along the road, blending the new approach to Plus signups and the promotions and the promotion codes and things like that with the constraints of our retail technology. So we had to go really fast, and there were certain things that weren't immediately easy to do. So we had to have made post-launch. We've made lots of changes and improvements that mean that we kept building those opt-in rates where they are now. So in particular, the last couple of months, we've seen really great progress, because as we've learned there's a segment of customers who we can't reach at the moment for various reasons, because there was some lock-in with some promotional codes. That's all fixed. And yeah, so a few bumps there, a few head-scratching moments as to why is that not working as we expected.
Yeah.
Lots of chats with our staff on the front line who have to make the magic happen in the moment. And now we're in really good shape. But yeah, quite a bit of effort there, optimizing. Yeah. And the last one, reporting. So because we hadn't really done a lot of customer data until the last 18 months, we didn't have the right reporting, customer level reporting ready to build on top of. We were very much in a transactional reporting mode. So there was an extra piece of work that had to be done to be able to report, build lovely Travelex Plus dashboards that are customer focused and looking at multiple transactions for a customer rather than just saying, oh, here's a bunch of transactions.
Yeah.
Great. It was a great accelerator to have that in place now. But we had to do that at pace, which was fun.
Well, particularly when you're seeing the kind of uplifts that you're seeing as well. I imagine that those dashboards look really good. So that's actually really wonderful for kind of internal stakeholder management, I'm guessing, and improving the business cases, as well as actually being actionable. How do we optimize? Like, I love a dashboard. Everyone who knows me knows me. I love some good data visualization, and a dashboard is right up there. And one of the first things I'm always looking at with programs. I think that brings us on to sort of the importance of the program within the company. You've been able to share a lot of the success factors and metrics, which is great. How is the company responding to the new Travelex program? How important is it, or how important do they see it being?
It's a vital part of our strategy. So we just had a kind of refresh of our 3 top focus areas, and Plus is named within that. It's really, really important. But yeah, this is how we drive the value we generate per customer. So yeah, it's talked about a lot. It's an increasingly big part of my job because I'm also looking at the customer engagement platform and other things. So yeah, it's vital. Without it, we don't have a digital relationship. Customers just become transactions again. And it's helping us. It's helping fuel our data science team to work on. To be able to model data, segment customers, it fuels so many other things around the business that will help us serve customers better and help our acquisition across paid channels and what have you. So huge amounts of focus.
That's great. I love that. Obviously, I'm very biased as a huge loyalty program fan, but it's lovely when it kind of starts out, it proves itself. And then I'll talk to you again in 2 years, and it'll be kind of, a central kind of bedrock across the kind of business. And I think it's wonderful when you see it used, and the data that it brings and the insight it brings, everything from customer services through to frontline operations, through to internal PR. They really can kind of spider web their whole way through the organization. So great that journey's starting so soon after the launch. What sort of areas are you looking at for the future? I mean, it might be a little early to ask because obviously you're still sort of proving it, you're still sort of seeing the impacts, but have you got any plans for the future that you're able to share?
So launching in more countries, I won't say which ones, but definitely we're always intended on a geo rollout once we've nailed it in the first country, which is again a kind of lean producty thing of do it really well in one place, learn, perfect it, then roll it out. There will be some regional differences because there are some differences that matter and across our channels, and but certainly I can't say when really, but not too long in this not too distant future we're live in more of our countries, and we'll keep rolling that out, and there will be different flavors locally though. The current iteration we called an MVP, you said that as well, minimum viable product. We we have some exciting extra features and things we'd like to roll out, but I think some of that will fall in place with the customer account, so that someone could log in and actually then manage the elements of their loyalty experience with us more directly. One thing I'm keen to do is to explore reward partnerships at some point in the future. So picking the right moment to do that. We, again, keeping focused on doing the right things at the right time, but being able to work with reward partners would be great. I think there's lots of scope to do some really genuinely valuable partnerships for our customers. For me, it would have to be very relevant to Travelex and a travel experience, which is mostly holidaymakers, but there are business customers as well and frequent travelers. And I'd love to, and as we've discussed, I'd love to tie it into an individual's personal journey. So how do we tie rewards, whatever they may be, to someone's pre-trip, in-trip, and post-trip journeys? Three things that we focus on a lot. It's not the entirety of the journey, but we're thinking of traveling or planning. I've booked a flight. I'm in the airport. I'm taking off. I'm using my card. I'm spending my cash that I acquired through Travelex. And I've got the post-holiday blues. I've come home. I've got some balance on my card. What can we do with that? You've shared some great ideas for that, how we could use it. I think there's a lot we could do, but it has to be, I'm cautious about us not having partnerships that aren't truly valuable as well. It has to.
It's so important. You've got to invest to get it right. You've got to understand who the brand partners are that your audience love, what rewards are actually going to engage, and then what's going to add value to that experience, and kind of in a unique and differentiating way. So we could talk about that for ages.
I think anything that could help us bridge that gap. That's a common problem. Someone goes away with the holiday in July to Spain for 7 days, uses that card. How do we stay relevant in that period in between? What could we do? And maybe reward partnerships help with that.
Interesting. And then what about kind of, you talked very much about the loyalty and reward code training. I will let Phil know that you've mentioned it. He'll be thrilled. It's a great kind of, it's a great course. But what other sort of resources do you use? As somebody who's obviously very experienced in CRM and products and all that area, but kind of, relatively new into loyalty marketing, what resources have you found helpful?
Mostly chatting with you, Charlie. That's what I get most says. So there's a few people I follow on LinkedIn. Phil, of course. Emil, I'm going to try and pronounce his last name.
Milton.
But Emil and Milton in Sweden, who's brilliant, and he's very active on LinkedIn, sharing some thoughts on loyalty, particularly at the moment. And also because I tend to attend a lot of events and around marketing, martech there, and I'm in touch with some loyalty platform providers just as we look to the future. I pick things up from webinars and emails and what have you. It's all sort of flowing in there. But I feel I've been so immersed in loyalty the last year that sometimes it's a little overwhelming. There's a lot going on, right? But I tend to pick your brains when I'm a bit stuck.
It's a very busy industry, I think. And I think one of my top tips, and we've talked about it a lot, is just join as many as you can. I always think that's really interesting. When you look at, my phone, it's horrifying to people. Like, how many are on here? And I'm like, well, that's my job. Of course I need to know what's going on. But actually kind of joining programs and living the experience of them. And, your experience with Vitality, for example, will inspire kind of, loads of thoughts what you could do with the program. And that's always my kind of top tip. And I'm always fascinated as well when I go on holiday to see how programs are different in different markets, that sort of freedom in a framework thing. So that's always really fun.
I find myself reverse engineering every loyalty program I bump into now. And one thing I caught last night was an advert from Sainsbury's for their very personalised loyalty program, where the name of Sainsbury's as they arrive seemed to change in the background to Davebury or whatever it was. And, I was thinking about, okay, how does that work? How could you do that? That's kind of exciting. So there's some really lovely stuff happening in personalization at the moment. I think the way a lot of programs are using that concept that Spotify started so brilliantly, the kind of Spotify Wrapped, what's your activity been, where do you sit versus others, and bringing that kind of social and community element into the program is definitely one of the things I'm having a look at. We were I was at a conference earlier in the year, and one of the hot topics everyone was talking about was Duolingo and the streaks
and actually how we kind of, can be inspired by things within loyalty, but also, slightly on the edges of loyalty, and think about that as kind of actually how would you bring that thinking into a loyalty program. So that's definitely ones I've got my eye on at the moment. In line with that, have you seen any kind of cool new ideas or innovations, or is there anything you're particularly proud of that you've done or admire that you'd like to share?
I think, it's hard not to talk about the kind of obvious AI revolution that's going on at the moment, and think about how that might change things and see how that's changing things. So in different ways, it's going to make it much easier to more significantly personalize customers' journeys and the offers that individuals receive. So there's lots of tech out there, lot probably still to be proven. We have some challenges, as I mentioned, as a regulated business. You have to be, you can't, there's some limits about how personal an offer can be. But parking that aside for the moment, there's the ability to scale what you do, scale content creation, scale sort of micro targeting, also the ability to look at all the data you've got and auto magically, I love that word, sift through the data to find the signal and the noise. Sometimes you don't know what question to ask, but with a lot of the capabilities out there and get data scientists and all those things, a lot of stuff that was hard to do 5 years ago is kind of bread and butter to free up your best minds to go beyond that. And also I think AI can be a game changer and kind of level the playing field for the smaller, leaner companies. And I speak as someone who works for one of them. For those who don't have armies of data scientists or huge marketing teams and 20 people working in CRM, whatever it may be, any opportunity to kind of hand off some of the more manual tasks or scale up your capabilities means you can compete with the bigger companies, and that in itself is great. I do think fortune favors the brave, though. Companies really have to embrace the opportunity here and try stuff out. Keep clear outcomes in mind, not just do fun stuff necessarily.
Yeah.
But it does mean chucking a little bit of resource and budget at this, at the expense of maybe some of the day-to-day things you do now. You have to create a bit of space for innovation and be prepared to fail. Not everything's going to work. It needs that focus and investment, and not just assume that we're a company that does things in certain ways. This isn't for us. We'll wait and see. Well, actually, you might miss out. You may miss out your chance to overtake your competition if you don't jump into it quickly.
I think that's very much the mentality we've been taking as well, actually, in our work. It's sort of, we have almost an experimentation mindset that actually we kind of, ring fence resource for learning and experimenting with it now. One of my favorite ones we've done, we're quite lucky as a WPP company, we've got WPP Open, which is a kind of custom built AI marketing operating system. And one of my favorite experiments recently we've been doing is we've been building AI personas and AI-based focus groups, and then actually using them to test concepts in a completely secure environment. And when I think about how quickly we can do it and the quality and depth and breadth of the responses you can get back versus the investment we previously had to make in terms of, focus group testing, obviously it's not quite there yet, but it will be soon. And I think that for us has been really interesting, actually, in terms of getting to know kind of customers and actually test things out. And, I wouldn't have even imagined that was possible 3 years ago. If someone had told me that was going to happen, I would have no idea. So I think those are the things that are so exciting and interesting in it, as well as, how we can then play it back to customers and personalize, and, down to sort of segments of one. I think it's really exciting. Everyone's looking at it now. All the conferences, all the webinars are all about what can we do with AI. And then I always think it's lovely, the tension between people's personal and professional experience as well, because professionally everyone's doing very kind of clever experiments, and then personally people are a bit like, well, I use ChatGPT to help me book my holiday. And there's so much more out there. So yeah, it's a really exciting area. So as we round out, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? And I think a key question we'll also have is people might want to reach out with additional questions. So how can people find you, Chris? What's the best way?
Best way is probably LinkedIn or Weybridge Cafe Nero when I get my free coffee. Anything for me really is to share some of my thoughts on, particularly maybe for the newbies there who are new to loyalty or their company's approaching loyalty the first time, is kind of just learn, right? Find ways to learn, the understand what does and doesn't work for loyalty, get that grounding in place so that you're making informed decisions. And whilst it's good to learn from other programs, if you don't necessarily know some of the sort of the hidden traps, the things that you can do that might cost a lot of money later on, you really don't want to have a program that launches and you have to pull back. So engage the expert and look into workshops, things like that to help you. I'm sure Charlie is there to help too. Do your homework basically and understand the levers you've got, because then you'll be more successful.
Oh, great. That's a really nice way to round out on, and I'm 20 years in and I'm still learning all the time. I think it's such an exciting industry, and it's brilliant now as well, because the benefits and the sorts of KPIs that you shared we are seeing that across loyalty, marketing as a whole. We are seeing engagement, appeal, membership kind of really ramping up. So it's brilliant that it's working so well for you. I'm delighted. And I also can't wait to see as it, rolls out, new features appear. And I'm also looking forward to obviously a lot more coffees in Cafe Nero in Weybridge. Well, all that's left for me to say is thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. And I'm sure our listeners have absolutely loved it. That's goodbye from Let's Talk Loyalty and Loyalty TV.
Cheerio. Thanks for having me on.